saying that Pope Leo pushes back after Trump calls him terrible. And so I haven't seen this, but I want to share this with you guys, and I want to give you all my thoughts.
Extraordinary new front that the president of the United States is now taking his fight to, taking on the Pope. And Pope Leo is responding, a statement that no Pope has ever made before, or quite frankly, ever has had to make before. The Pope saying this morning that he has, quote, no fear of the Trump administration after President Trump went after him, as if Pope Leo were just any other politician, saying the pontiff was, quote, weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. Here is Pope Leo's message.
The message of the church, my message, the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers. I do not look at my role as being a political politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loud against war.
CNN's Elena Treen is at the White House for us to start us off. This is quite a way to start a Monday, Elena.
Absolutely. I mean, a remarkable statement and comments you're hearing from Pope Leo XIV this morning. And they come, Kate, in response to the president issuing sharp criticisms against the first American Pope. He had called the Bishop of Rome, quote, weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy, while also claiming that Pope Leo would not have been selected if it was not for the president himself. Now, we later saw Trump double down on comments in person while speaking with reporters last night before posting an AI-generated image of himself that essentially portrayed him looking as if he were Christ the healer. But I do want you to take a listen to what we heard the president say last night.
He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. Now, I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
I'm not a fan of Pope Leo. Look, just to give you a little context here, we had heard the Pope weigh in. I think initially he was, trying to refrain from criticizing the president or the Trump administration directly, but we have seen him become far more vocal when criticizing the U.S. war with Iran. Last week, he condemned the president's rhetoric specifically after we saw President Trump issue that threat that a whole civilization would die tonight. Now, I want to give you a little context as well. It's very interesting, and what I'm going to be watching for is what the 53 million Americans who are Catholic, who identify as Catholic, I would also say, put that in another number that's known as 20% of the voting public, remains to be seen what their reaction to this will be. Same with, I would note, among those, 53 million Americans, that includes the First Lady Melania Trump, the Vice President J.D. Vance, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, all of them as well identifying as Catholic. So just a remarkable, I think, war of words that we're seeing between the president and now having Pope Leo XIV.
Let me tell you why I don't agree with what she's saying, right? Let me tell you why I don't agree with what she's saying at all, not even a little bit. Because, and I'm trying to get the right image up here before I speak on this. Where's the one of him when he was saying it on the plane or whatever?
Have been selected if it was comments generated crime.
Doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying.
King, no Pope, this or him, quote, his message.
This is the gospel.
Let me tell you why I think that she's wrong, right? And this is the reason why. Here's a couple of reasons why I think that she's wrong. Y'all are more than welcome to disagree with me. I know that some of you guys will, and that's cool. When did the Pope Leo specifically, because he didn't attack Catholic faith. And this is the reason why we need to separate it, because when people have Trump derangement syndrome or they may not agree with the president, it doesn't mean that you can't disagree with some other leader, right? Even if they're a spiritual leader, because the Pope is not Jesus. You can have respect for the faith, but disagree with the words of a person. When did Pope Leo become beyond reproach because they wanted to say, well, Melania Trump is Catholic and JD Vance is Catholic and this person is Catholic and this person. No. He never said nothing about the Catholic faith. He said, I don't rock with Pope Leo. And when did it become above for us to disagree with a spiritual leader? Right or wrong, wherever you stand on it, he not above talking about. When did we talk about the black church all day long and hold pastors accountable every day. We hold pastors accountable in the evangelical side. We hold white pastors accountable when it comes to non-denomination. We hold everybody accountable because you are your own individual to be evaluated, not above reproach, on your own merits and whatever it is that you say and you stand on. So, question, when did Pope Leo or the Pope ever become above reproach to where you can't say nothing to them or nothing about them or evaluate the decisions that they make on a regular basis? I don't get it. They talk about TD Jakes all the time. They talk about Jamal Bryant all the time. I talk about Jamal Bryant all the time. And so the Pope wants to engage and he wants to speak out about something that he don't know about. Because see, he don't even know the threats that we're being defended. You know, how come the Pope don't never speak out against our adversaries? Why do he always speak out against us? Y'all sitting there criticizing leadership right now, depending on what church it is. Ain't never been to the church, ain't never had a message, ain't never met the person, but y'all are criticizing them, right? Cool, whatever. That's just the way that the game go. When did the Pope become above reproach is all I'm asking. How come people can't criticize the Pope? And for whatever reason, leadership in the Catholic Church, man, they have done some of the most diabolical things ever. They settle whole lawsuits, class action lawsuits with people that accuse them of being pedos, and nobody trip about it. Maybe not Pope Leo in particular, but leadership within the Catholic Church have done some of the most diabolical things, and everybody just act like it was cool. They swept it under the rug. They didn't go out there and find the victims. Nobody went to jail. They settled the lawsuits, and they ain't acting like nothing ever happened. Shout out to my dog, Mr. Lot. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. So how come the leadership is above being able to have conversations about whether they right or wrong? I don't get it. Is it because it's Trump? And this isn't a right or wrong conversation about whether Trump is right or whether the Pope is right. I think that they're coming at it from two different lenses, right? There's completely different lenses that come along with this. This is about who can be criticized and who can't be criticized, and whether we weaponizing faith to try to protect people that needs to be held accountable, depending on where you stand on the spectrum. And I don't have any opinion about the faith itself because I'm not a Catholic. And so it doesn't resonate with me at all. I understand exactly what Catholicism is. I went to mass before when I was in Catholic school. We had to go and, because I went to a private Catholic school before. And so we had to go to mass and I studied their religion. And I looked at the books that they read and all of this other stuff. And I did a deep dive into research on it. I don't really have any opinion on the faith per se on this live stream, right? Maybe I can start digging a little deeper and maybe that's what I might do tonight. I don't know. But my point is that these guys are not above being held accountable. None of them, including Pope Leo.
Blessed.
Become far more vocal when criticizing the U.S. war.
The Pope this morning said he's not afraid of the Trump administration. And then reportedly, when asked about a True Social post, he pushed back saying, quote, "It's ironic. The name of the site itself, Say No More." Let's get to CNN Vatican correspondent Christopher Lamb, who is traveling with the Pope. You were in Algeria. You were on that plane
Thank you to
where those
everybody showing me love.
extraordinary comments were made. What did you hear?
Well, John, there was extraordinary and very strong comments from Pope Leo. Of course, I was among a group of journalists who traveled with the Pope to Algeria. He came to the back of the plane as his custom, and he was asked about Trump's Truth Social post, that extraordinary broadside against Pope Leo. And he had really a consistent message that was, I'm not a politician. I don't want to get into a back and forth, but I'm going to continue to speak out. And he said, blessed are the peacemakers. Here is some more of what Leo had to say on board the plane.
I have no fear of the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe. I am called to do what the church is called to do. We're not politicians. We're not looking to make foreign policies with the same perspective that we might understand it. But I do believe in the message of the gospel. Blessed are the peacemakers. It's the message of the Lord. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Let me ask y'all a question, bro. And I'm just curious personally, because I've never been fanned out by spiritual leadership or anything like that, you know, like in real life, as far as people that I've met in life and stuff like that, right? Why do people worship the Pope? And now it's a general question. It's a genuine question. Why do people worship the Pope? What is it that the Pope does in any capacity that would have people following the Pope like Michael Jackson or something? What does the Pope do that has people just crashing out? People do worship the Pope. Oh, they absolutely. When the Pope go, have you ever seen a Pope mobile? And they parade him around like a trinket, and they put him in the Pope mobile and he does like this over everybody. They absolutely worship the Pope. People do not worship the Pope. Interesting. That's not worshiping right here. For the man to appear on a balcony. For him to shout out to Rob Brown. I'm gonna read that shortly. For him to appear on the balcony. Are y'all crazy? Look at this. This is the Pope. It's the Pope, bro. I don't get it, man. I honestly, I'm genuinely curious, and I'm just asking a question. This look crazy. Look at homie right here. Really? Am I off? Am I? No. I'm just asking a question. I'm genuinely curious. Am I off? All right, maybe I am off. I don't know. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. That looked crazy to me. And maybe I need some insight and some understanding, but I be trying to figure it out, and y'all act like I'm crazy, and so I'm gonna act like y'all crazy.